If you've had male sexual partners, chances are you've come across a guy who struggles to last and he worries about his performance. And I get comments on my videos and my blog like, how to help my husband with performance anxiety, or my boyfriend lasts 30 seconds. And it's awkward, isn't it? Whether you're in a long-term casual relationship or you're married, this can be a major stressor for you both. Now, I work mostly with the guys themselves, but I do sometimes speak with partners who find themselves having to navigate this delicate issue. And when they love him and are really invested in the relationship, well, the last thing partners want to do is apply pressure or make him feel bad about his sexual abilities. But putting up with underwhelming sex and sometimes all the mood swings and the apologies that go with it, well, that's not sustainable either. So there's a balance to be struck between compassion and understanding and addressing it somehow. And this all starts with communication. So here are a few practical tips to help your partner with premature ejaculation and performance anxiety. Number 1, help him to get proactive. His instinct, especially if he's always struggled in the confidence department, might be to dodge the issue or just keep getting by with the same routine. And I think that's a natural response. He's probably experiencing significant levels of anxiety here. He may feel exposed and scared. He might be terrified that he's going to lose you. He might have been trying to feel more confident or last longer, and it just hasn't worked. So that's leaving him feeling even more frustrated at himself. So encourage him to get a medical checkup, just to rule out any prostate problems or anything like that, and to consider seeing a therapist and talking to someone. Now, it could be that his anxiety levels are running high across other areas of his life, so his PE is a symptom, or his stress levels are preventing him from properly facing and addressing it. Now, guys don't tend to jump at the idea of seeing a therapist, I know, but having a chat with someone neutral could really help him gain perspective and some new ways to manage his stress levels. He doesn't need to go into therapy, just a chat and getting some initial pointers can make a difference. And there are some good self-help resources out there, my channel or my blog, for example. And let him know that he can always talk to you too, and that you recognise just how common this problem is. Offer him your full support and understanding in return for him taking some steps and opening up a bit to personal development here. Number 2, pick your moment to talk. Now, if this isn't something that you've really discussed with your partner, just mentioning what you've observed and how you've been feeling can be tricky. So I say pick a time when it's just the two of you, feeling relaxed together, but not sexual. So over dinner, for example. If you mention this before sex, that's a whole load of pressure. During sex, that's even worse timing. And if you raise it right after sex, a common mistake, it'll play right into his fears and insecurities that he's probably already feeling. As for what to say, positive and shame-free is the way to go. You've noticed that sex doesn't last as long as you'd both like. Maybe you've noticed some nervousness or difficulty, and you'd really like to explore how both of you can enjoy your connection a bit more for a bit longer. And as well as indicating that things could be better for you both, take this opportunity to tell him what you want, what you enjoy in bed, what you'd like more of, and maybe what you're not so into. So many couples that have been together ages, don't communicate these things. And if he doesn't know, and he's been watching porn, and he probably has, he might assume that that's the kind of sex you're expecting, which adds to his pressure. So tell him what you want. Number 3, getting used to the idea of good enough day-to-day sex. Something I often see is guys having a amped up perception of sex, like they put sex and sometimes their partners on a pedestal. Now, this might come from their formative years, wishing they were getting laid, watching porn, and feeling this rush of excitement and anticipation. For one reason or another, the prospect of sex, even with a long-term partner, takes their excitement levels from 0 to 100 too quickly. And then add in the awkwardness and maybe some avoidance, and sex becomes less frequent. And then this ramps things up even more. When sex is a rare, special occasion, when we're even more prone to feel pent-up excitement, anxiety and pressure. And then it's ages before sex happens again, and the problem goes on and on. One way to remedy this is to work with him to plan and schedule sex. Talk about how often you both like to have sex and then meet in the middle somewhere. How often, times of day, maybe finding afternoons or lunch breaks rather than the high expectation of Saturday night. As sex columnist Dan Savage says, if you have date nights lined up, have sex before you go out, before dinner, and then enjoy the occasion, basking in that after sex glow and connection together. Yes, planning for sex is more day to day, and it might even feel mundane, but that's intentional and it makes sense on a number of levels. Planning gets you both on the same page, removes the pressure of guessing and mind reading, and it brings his perception down to a fun, regular activity that I do with my partner. So it's a reality check, a grounding thing. Communicate, plan together with a light-hearted touch. Number 4, know that he's not just being selfish. If you've had partners who didn't struggle with lasting longer, who didn't even give it a second thought, then experiencing a man who does can be disconcerting. Why can't he self-control? Is it something about us or me? Is a part of him trying to get sex over and done with as quickly as possible? Will he always be like this? Is he just being lazy or selfish? What about my needs? So a whole bunch of questions and frustrations there. Know that PE can be a uniquely challenging problem. Guys are trying to do an action, an activity that requires effort and arousal to prolong this action for as long as they can. The movement and the awareness and the balance required, it's not something all guys are just born with, and they certainly weren't taught this in sex education. Whether a guy has always struggled for as long as he's been sexually active, or the difficulty lasting has cropped up for some reason, or it comes and goes, there are quite a few potential causes. His body's natural wiring, there is a genetic component to this, see my video, his predisposition to worry and stress, his physical health, his sleep patterns, his sexual history, and yes, sometimes factors in the relationship too. So getting some support from a doctor or a therapist, potentially a couples therapist, can really help. And know that everyone has their stuff, their hang-ups. Guys who don't worry about PE, they might have the opposite problem and they might struggle to stay aroused or even to reach orgasm. Worry and performance anxiety exacerbates a problem, whatever that problem is, making us feel even more stuck. So lifting some of this pressure is essential. So he's not just being selfish or rubbish. If he doesn't want to talk or he won't take your needs seriously, then that's another matter. But most guys just need a bit of support and time to get to work on their missing skills. Number 5, be open to experiments. If your partner steps up and looks into ways to overcome PE, maybe he sees a therapist or he gets to work or he goes down the self-help route, he's going to have some form of training to do, some homework. Now, often guys want to work on these things on their own, usually using masturbation to build their sensation awareness and movement and their relaxation techniques. Give him time and space to do this. And there well may be a couples component too. Couples are encouraged to enjoy experiences where intercourse isn't the main event. Light touching, foreplay, taking things slowly, building up your confidence together. Maybe positions that neither of you have come across before. There's a whole world of deep connection, synchronized breathing and tantric learnings that you could discover together. And it's good stuff, but it's not always necessary for great, satisfying sex. That might just need getting some fundamentals right. Therapists like me try to make these skills as fun as possible, but it might sometimes feel tedious or just not as compelling as regular sex. Why are we doing this? Is this working? And sometimes things don't go quite to plan and he experiences frustrations, and that's inevitable. But the effort and the time is usually well worth the investment for you both. And finally, enjoy every aspect of your relationship. Yes, sexual intimacy, it's important, and you both deserve to enjoy it to the max. And there are plenty of ways for him to work on this and for you to be right there with him. Thank you for watching, and I hope this has been helpful. If you have any questions about premature ejaculation or sexual confidence in general, please feel free to get in touch, and my website is linked in the description below this video. Also remember that I am a therapist sharing my opinions and general advice, but this is no substitute for going to see your own GP or doctor. So if you have any concerns about health or your sexual health, you should go and get a medical checkup and take some advice. Thank you very much for watching.